Lord Buddha has rightly said, just as in candle cannot burn without fire, man cannot live without a spiritual life. Our honorable speaker truly justifies the quote as his life is an inspiring journey for every person out here who would like to embrace spiritualism into their lives. Welcoming Sri Rajesh Rabindranath ji with an heartfelt applause. He is a known expert of Vedanta, scriptures, yoga, and modern management. He has a keen inclination for Vedanta and scriptures since graduation. And his deep interest in spirituality took him on a never-ending journey of self-awareness and self-awakening. To attain his spiritual goal, he addresses in various programs, conferences, seminars in New Jersey, USA on Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta, to bring out the message of Vedic scriptures in the light of modern science and management. He is also an esteemed co-founder of Project Self USA and is on a mission to enlighten, prepare and grow people spiritually and guide them to understand and follow the real meaning of life. I am so privileged to welcome Sri Rajesh Rabindranath ji to enlighten us with his deep and life-changing message.
Namaste. My salutations to all the yoga seekers around the world. I'm so happy and honored to be part of this grand conference with an objective of bringing that larger dimension of yoga. As you all know, this International Day of Yoga has changed the perception on the scope and the dimension of the yoga considerably. I know very well before 2015, the yoga was perceived as a simple means of physical fitness. Right now, the conferences like this and the program organized around the world as part of this International Day of Yoga helps to give us at least that awareness about that larger scope of yoga. So with this, let's jump into the topic given to me. So today's topic given to me is Avidhya, one of the most important idea or the concept in yoga. Friends, let's pause and think for a minute, because the scope of Avidhya, again, always people used to misunderstand. Vidya means knowledge, etymologically. Avidhya means ignorance. So when you say Avidhya, this Avidhya with respect to what? For example, I don't know about nuclear physics. That means I have avidya towards that particular subject. So what exactly is the scope of avidya we are talking here in the context of yoga? So that's what we wanted to cover in this next 15 minutes. As yoga seekers, all of you know the real goal of yoga. It's not just a means to improve your physical fitness or getting into shape. Definitely that is there, but there is a larger goal. As you know, the larger goal of yoga is to get into a perfectly balanced state of mind and eventually know your own self. Because based on the vision of all the Indic darshanas, whether it is Sankhya, Yoga, Vedanta, the ultimate solution for the human suffering is knowing your own true identity. And that is exactly the ultimate goal of yoga. And yoga prescribes a set of sadhanas for us to transform into that state from our current state of suffering. In this path of yoga, Patanjali Maharshi identifies some obstacles. These obstacles are known as kleshas. The Yoga Sutra, 2nd chapter, 3rd verse clearly identifies what exactly are these impediments or obstacles in our path of yoga. He identifies 5 impediments. They are avidya, asmita, ragadvesha, and abhinivesha. These are the 5 blocking or obstacles in the path of yoga, and avidya is one of them. So the first point is the topic we are going to discuss here, avidya, is one of the obstacles in our path of yoga. In fact, the scope of this avidya is little larger compared to the other 4. because the Yoga Sutra, the Sutra 2.4, clearly articulates the fact that it is the Avidhya that is the breeding ground for all the other four impediments. So, what is this Avidhya? The Sutra 2.5 clearly defines what is this Avidhya. Patanjali tells Anitya, Ashuchi, Dukkha, Anatmasu, Nitya, Shuchi, Sukha, Atmakhyatir Avidya. This is the actual definition of Avidya from the manual of Yoga, Yoga Sutra. Instead of going here and there, I would like to focus exactly on the definition given by Yoga Sutra. So the Maharshi Patanjali's definition on Avidya is very simple and very systematic. He said, Anitya, people see Anitya as Nitya. That is, there are four things he tells. The first one is treating Anitya as Nitya. What is Anitya? Impermanent. What is Nitya? That is permanent. So let's try to understand what is the impact of Avidya there. See, when we look at our body, we all know that it is impermanent. Maximum life expectancy of a person is 120 years at a stretch. But definitely it will come to an end. Any object you perceive in the world, whether it is sun or the moon or the star, or the plant, animal or human, anything in the world, there is an end. None of the objects you perceive in the world is permanent. But somehow we have a feeling that it is permanent. We feel that our life is permanent. We never think about the fact that one day we have to say goodbye to this world. And we always think that our health is permanent. We always think that the relationship is going to be permanent. We think that all the state of good experience are permanent. But the fact is that whoever you are, even the Avatara Purushas, means they also have to go through suffering. So the first problem of Avidya is we always take impermanent as permanent and try to, with that expectation, when you get into the world, that will cause a lot of stress, strain, anxieties, and worries. So that is the first definition. Anitya, we take the Anitya as Nitya. The second one is you take the Ashuchi as Shuchi. You think what is the most purest thing? You take the impure things are pure. Impurity here means you think something as the most fundamental thing. What exactly is your understanding about yourself? You think yourself as the body and the mind, and practically you take it as pure. You think that your mind is pure, your body is pure, but they have a lot of problems. Your mind may have a lot of negative tendencies, but we never understand our own mind. That is the second problem. We take the impure as pure. We try to see problems with everybody else in the world, but we fail to understand our own mind. What exactly is driving our actions? What exactly is driving our feeling? What exactly is driving our speech? It is all determined by the quality of your content of the mind. If your mind has wrong values, wrong thoughts, and wrong vasanas, your actions will be driven from that. And we try to see that problem with everybody else, but we fail to see the impurities in our mind. So that is the Ashuchi. We take the Ashuchi as Shuchi. The next thing is you take Dukkha as Sukha. Because if you take each one of us, right, our goal of life is to find happiness. Every action we do means whatever we do from womb to tomb is in search of that happiness. But most often we think that we are going to gain happiness by acquiring or possessing certain things or getting rid of certain things. But sit for a moment, right? Close your eyes for a moment and think. Whatever you thought as the most source of happiness in your childhood, you would have achieved that goal. But think about your mental state. Are you really happy? Are you really contented? No, the problem is By acquiring and possessing, yes, it can make you comfortable, but it will not make you happy. Please, we hear the goal is not to say that you should not acquire or possess, but don't have the wrong expectation. By gaining XYZ, you are not going to be permanently happy. Yes, you may get a fleet of joy, but that will not last forever because means you think that something else is going to make you happy. So that awareness, typically a person think that if I get that job, or if I get that bonus, or if I get this promotion, or if I get that girl or a boy, or if I get a child, I'll be happy. I'll be happy forever. But that's not the case. Still, to live in this world, you may have to pursue all those goals, but knowing that, yes, it is going to make me more comfortable, it is needed, but don't have the wrong expectation that it is going to make me completely happy and contented. The complete happiness and contentment can come only from within. And this is reinforced by modern psychology multiple times. If you really look at the positive psychology, this fact is highly underlined and emphasized. So the problem here is that you think that the source of happiness as external objects, but the fact is that they are not really happy. In fact, the material objects only gives you sorrow. So this is the third point of avidya. And the final point of avidya is taking anatma as atma. Each one of us have an idea of who am I. Typically what we do, we try to take us as a combination of our body, mind, and the consciousness. This is the usual concept of myself, right? So what does that mean? When I take my body and my mind as myself, any problem of my body is my problem. Any problem of my mind is my problem, and I get suffered. A simple example is going to illustrate this point very well. Imagine that you are in a dream. Let's say that Devadatta is in a dream. And a fictitious character, Devadatta, is having a dream. Let's say that Devadatta got an accident in that dream and his hand got broken. He is in terrible pain. Absolutely. In that dream space and dream time, he is suffering. But when he wakes up, what happens? There is absolutely no suffering. The hand is not broken. So the broken hand in the dream was not him. The broken hand in the dream was given to him as a tool to operate in that dream space and dream time. When he came out of that dream, he continued to exist, but his tools was left behind. But what happened in the dream? In the dream, when he was identifying with the tool, which is the dream body and the dream mind, his suffering was very high. So exactly like that, when we are in this space and time, in this world of ours, in this space, in this time, when we operate, we take our body and mind as ourselves. And as a result, what happens? Any problem of the body is perceived as a problem of ourselves. Otherwise, what is happening? Still the problem is there, but it is not a problem I have, but it is a problem of my tool. Definitely, it is a situation that needs to be managed, but it is not the end of the world. So typically, a person take the anatma as atma. These are the four different aspects of avidya. If you recap the whole discussion we had, avidya is one of the obstacles in the path of yoga. One of the 5 obstacles in the path of yoga. In fact, avidya is the breeding ground for even the other 4 kleshas, which are asmita, ragadvesha, and abhinivesha. Avidya refers to ignorance. And Maharshi Patanjali in Sutra 2.5 clearly defines the scope of this avidya. Anitya, ashuchi, dukkha, anatmasu, nitya, shuchi, sukho, atmarkhyater avidya. Seeing anitya as nitya, impermanent as permanent, ashuchi as shuchi, impure as pure, dukkha as sukha, and anatma as atma. This is what is Avidhya. Now let me close my presentation by just what is the solution to get out of the Avidhya. And that is the beauty of the Yoga Sutra. Maharshi Patanjali tells us two sadhanas. The first sadhanas is known as Kriya Yoga, which is Tapa, Swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidhana. And second one is Ashtanga Yoga. When you do these practices, essentially, you will be able to get out of these 5 kleshas and move towards the goal of the yoga. And my salutations to all of you. It was such a privilege to be part of this conference and talk a few words about this topic, which is fundamental. This Avidhya is one of the fundamental topic in the path of yoga. And I hope and pray that through the sincere practice and through the by the grace of God, each one of us will be able to get above these 5 kleshas and achieve the goal of the yoga. Thank you.
Thank you, respected Rajesh, and such an insightful elaboration on such a difficult topic, Avidhya, which is often misunderstood. You mentioned 4 important parts of the definition of Avidhya as Nitya, Anitya divide, clarity between what is Pavitra and Apavitra, what is Sukha and Dukha, and be very clear about what is Atma and Anatma. And when we are not clear about it, when we confuse wrong thing for the right one, then it is called Avidhya. And you also mentioned as a solution what Maharshi Patanjali said, Kriya Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. I'm sure that the viewers watching us from different parts of the world will certainly be benefited. Thank you very much for blessing us.
Thank you.
We thank Shri Rajesh Rabindranath ji for his beautiful explanation. Thank you so much.